So apparently nobody knows who took Taylor Swift's engagement photos. So I would like to be the first to officially share and announce that I also have no idea who took her engagement photos. And because Taylor didn't tag her photographer, it is very possible that we'll never find out. But this actually happens a lot more often than you think, where the photographer doesn't get tagged in the photos. And in this case, there are 3 reasons of why I can think that might be the case. And one that's specific to the Travis and Taylor love story version of this photo. In a lot of cases, when you're dealing with high-profile individuals, you're required to sign an NDA. Or in my case, I actually sign NDAs all the time when I'm given proprietary information or information about a product before it's released. So in this case, the photographer may have been given some sort of NDA or non-disclosure agreement to sign where they're not allowed to talk about it before it's out and maybe even after it's out for a set specific time. And I know what a lot of you are gonna say. You're gonna say, well, Anthony, Taylor tags her other photographers in all her other posts. And it's true, if you scroll down to the bottom of all her social media posts, you can see she's either tagging the photographer, Getty Images, or TAS Management, which is her own media management company that procures the rights to use the photos that she's sharing. And this is the right way to do it. If you are a high profile individual or a celebrity, or even if you're just a normal person and you use another photographer's photo, even if it's of you, you don't have permission to use it unless you've licensed that photo. So that's why Getty Images is there, and that's why TAS Management is there. Because the last thing any of us wants is to get sued by a photographer. It's very unlikely to happen in the case of like you or me, but if you're a celebrity, it happens all the time. One of the other reasons she might not have tagged her photographer is because of the way these images were procured. Meaning all the other images that you tend to see of Taylor are taken by some photographer that was in a stadium or some press photographer that happened to then license the photo through Getty Images or whoever. But in this case, an engagement or a wedding or a personal photo shoot is a lot more intimate than something that's organized by Taylor Swift's management or by a record label. And it's even possible that in this case, Travis is the one who organized it, because conventionally the dude is the one organizing and planning the engagement proposal. Now, it is possible that her management was involved, which kind of gets into one of my theories. After all, Taylor Swift is so big that they would just know that this is gonna be a huge social media moment. And so maybe there was some orchestration in there. But let's say, for example, they did tag the photographer. Well, now all of a sudden the moment goes from being about Travis and Taylor to being about Travis and Taylor and someone else. And you can see very clearly by the way she's posted it, it's just that, you know, one short caption and nothing else. Like, she doesn't need to use tags. She doesn't need to tag a management agency or a license. It's like pure and simple and focused on the moment. The other thing too that's kind of funny to think about is this idea that celebrities and high net worth individuals are like a secret society unto themselves. But quite often what happens is the photographers that are dealing with these high net worth individuals are photographers that only work with high net worth individuals. You can kind of think of it like, let's say you're shopping around for a photographer for your wedding. You could get someone who's like beginner and entry level who might only charge $1,000, or you could get a high-end elaborate destination wedding photographer who's gonna charge you $10,000. Well, the photographers working with celebrities charge 10, 20 times what you or I as like a normal everyday photographer would charge. When I post or when you post, we rely heavily on social media to get our information out there so other people can see our work and hire us. And sure, you could say that tagging the photographer is a way to appreciate their art and that Taylor is an artist and this photographer is an artist. But let's say she did tag them and we the tens of millions of us that liked her post would then go and creep that profile and maybe even try to hire them or DM them or get information so that we can hire them for ourselves because we want to use the same photographer that a famous celebrity used. But as I mentioned, those photographers are in a whole other league of their own. You and I can't afford them. And they definitely don't need the random exposure, even on a post that's getting tens of millions of views. That exposure isn't gonna get them work, which is a lesson that we as normal photographers can take away from the clients and the brands that we're working with. When someone says, hey, I'll tag you in a social media post, and what? Like it's gonna get you an extra 10 views on your profile? Yeah, in the right scenario, that might land you a job, but it is always better to have cash in your wallet than appreciation in your heart. But I do have one more theory of what could possibly be going on in this example. Because let's face it, Taylor Swift is a big celebrity and everything that she does gets eyeballs on it. Everything that she's doing is part of the Taylor Swift brand. In the same way that, what you post, what you share online is part of your personal brand. So it is possible she signed some sort of NDA or some sort of contract with the photographer to prevent them from posting, but it's also possible she just straight out purchased the copyright for the photos that she shared, which is not something you normally do as a photographer because, again, that comes with a very large price tag. So my kind of juicy theory in this case is, yeah, maybe she signed some sort of NDA with the photographer, but it's also very possible, and someone in my comments mentioned this, that maybe the actual engagement proposal happened weeks or months ago and wasn't like a social media moment. It could have just been a very intimate moment between the two of them that they didn't want captured. Or maybe they did capture it, but it wasn't, it wasn't that Taylor Swift brand style of an engagement photo shoot. So it's very possible that the photographer that they hired was hired in a way to craft this moment. And so either they signed the NDA so that they couldn't talk about the fact that this was maybe like a faked moment, or they signed away the copyright because Taylor Swift knows that these images are gonna get tens, if not hundreds of millions of views. And either her or her management corporation owning the rights to this would be more valuable, pay off the photographer, get the rights to the photos so that she owns them. That would be more valuable in the long run than paying a photographer a normal rate and allowing them to put their name all over it. So that's my juicy theory and the 3 reasons why you might not get tagged as a photographer. If you're someone who's experienced not getting tagged by your clients, let me know down in the comments and let me know what you think of the photos. That's a whole nother creative discussion in its own. And stay tuned for the next one. Get out, go shoot photos.